Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. This week it's not going to be so much about local issues as the big news is all the protests going on worldwide now when it comes to protesting the action that's been going on in the Gaza Strip with Israel and Hamas. The Israeli-Hamas war that's going on right now is big news. And a lot of things going on with it. Even here stateside as well as elsewhere in Europe and everywhere else, there are protests going on that are protesting the brutality of what Israel has been doing to the Palestinians. Now there's a big kind of moving parts with this and everything else. Some people like to just dissect it down to the black and white. Either you're pro-Israel or you're anti-Semitic. But it's a lot more to it than that. See, whenever you have Netanyahu out there saying that Bernie Sanders and others who are Jewish saying, hey, these people are being anti-Semite if they're attacking me. No, BB. They're pretty much not anti-Semitic. They're just anti-Netanyahu. And that doesn't make them anti-Semitic. They're not actually anti-Israeli. They're anti your current regime, you see? And that's what this has to do with. And you know, it's not only Europeans or anybody else anywhere else in the world or the United States or Argentina that's protesting this. It's even people in Israel themselves. Israeli citizens by the tens of thousands are also protesting what Israel is doing there. See, they took advantage, and I get it. Hey, you know, because honestly, when it comes to this issue, when it comes to what's been going on there, I really make both sides mad because I have a whole different view than what most people would think. See, it's like pick a side, right? Me personally, I think they're both stupid. Honestly, Hamas, here you go. Hamas, they're idiots. They're strategical morons. What they did October 7th was disgusting. It was cruel. It was totally goes against any kind of international norm, international law, rules of war, anything else. They went into a festival, killed over 1,000 people from around the world, not just Israelis, not just Jewish people, but people of other religions, people of other nationalities. They just went in and discriminately just killed and took hostages. That's what they did. This is a blunder. You don't do that. You can't get support that way. And they didn't get any support that way. They didn't. So now Israel has a cause belli of going into Gaza Strip, getting rid of Hamas, and having a war with them because Hamas started it. You see, Hamas started a war that they couldn't win. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly, of what would happen or what they were going to get out of this. But believe me, what has happened can't be exactly what they thought would happen. Total devastation of the Gaza Strip. Total devastation. I mean, almost every building has just been destroyed and wiped out. And this is a plan by the Israelis. You see, we've seen it. We've seen it by hardline right-wingers and even our own Jared Kushner who said, hey, you know what? Look at all that beachfront property. Oh my gosh, that could be valuable. You know, so there's one thing right there, right? So they could lose that. You know, and honestly, that may sound disgusting and all, but here's my perspective of it. That's just the rules of war. Look. Russia's doing the same thing. They're going in trying to take over parts of Ukraine, and they're taking them over to say these are ours. You know, they're taking land grab. There's nothing to say that Israel can't do that. Those are the rules of war. Hamas started it, even though the Palestinian people are the ones who are going to suffer because they will. Hamas screwed up. And now the Palestinian people, Palestine, the state, could no longer exist. The state of Palestine could no longer exist because of this. And that would be perfectly fine with me because those are the rules of war. You see, Hamas started this. They were strategical idiots. And they did something really brutal and really bad. They are a terrorist group. They've been listed as a terrorist group for a decade, at least, if not two or more. They are terrorists. They are. They even just the other day shot rockets at a pier they're building to bring relief to the Palestinian people. Okay, these people are off the rocker. Okay, Hamas. You can't support Hamas. Now, supporting the Palestinian people is something different. The people are something different. Now, of course, some of them do support Hamas, but not all of them. I'm sure it's not even a majority of them. And they're not even in power, even though there's some kind of power sharing agreements here and there. But that's all political. You see, the people themselves are caught in the middle. They really don't have any power. They're at the whims of whatever Israel allows them to have, including jobs, living space, food, and anything else that they get is subject to the whims of whatever Israel allows them to have. And it's been that way. And, and I get it. Israel is not clean in this. They've had their thumb on the Palestinian people for some time. They've been brutal with them. They are shooting first and asking questions later. They are even killing their own hostages because of their shoot first, ask questions later policy. Oh, we shot first. Oh, hey, our Israeli citizen that was a hostage is dead. What happened? Well, we shot first. Ask questions later. That's Netanyahu's policy, you see. Shoot first, ask questions later. Ugliness. And this is where Israel's screwing up. Because, even though you have cause belli to go in and do what you did to Hamas and everything else and root them out, you lose the will of the people, which is very important when it comes to conditions of winning victories in war. You can't lose the will of the people by being just brutal jerks. You can't just go out and kill a 5-year-old girl. 5-year-old girl, Palestinian girl, killed her. Why? Well, she could have been a terrorist. That's what they said. 5-year-old little girl is going to be a terrorist. Seriously? And you had to kill her? And including the medics that were on their way to help save her. They killed them too. These are not combatant people. They shot them too. And they're marked as, hey, we're medics. And they killed them. But, this isn't something new with Israel. They've always gone after the press. They've shot members of the press before. And this isn't even just in this year. In prior conflicts, they actually targeted the press. People from around other nations, too, that were press. They targeted them, too. And shot them and killed them. That's Israel. So nobody has clean hands in this. But the only thing is, at least Israel isn't designated a terrorist organization. Sure, Netanyahu and his regime are horrible. They're awful. Even their own citizens can't stand him and want him gone. He is corrupt. He is a dictator in a lot of different ways, and now he sees an opportunity to really just get some beachfront property. I'm almost positive that's what this is all about. If we devastate all of this, tear it all down, we can go, look, it's not worth anything now. We can pick it up on the cheap. And Palestinians don't have the resources to rebuild, so we need to go in and take care of it for them, right? And just take it from them. And then there's even calls in Israel to exodus these Palestinians to other places that really don't want them. Like Egypt. They could go to Egypt. No, Egypt, hey, man, you're going to screw up our economy? You're going to bring all these people in here we got to find jobs and housing for and stuff? No. And you're not even going to help Israel? You're not going to help Egypt. If they do it, no. And so these people want them to send them everywhere. I'll send them to all these other Muslim countries that won't take them in. There's different sects of Muslims. You can't just send a Shiite to a Sunni nation. It's not going to work. It's kind of like we have different sects of Christianity in our nation. We got Protestants, we got Catholics, we even have Unitarians and Mormons. Come on, man. You're just lumping them all together. And that's exactly what they do. So this is what we have. So now that's the conflict that's going on. So now we have these protests on campuses, which really look a lot like it was in the 60s. And you know what? The conservatives who are against these protests are using the exact same tactics that they did when it came to Kent State, when they murdered 4 students that were peacefully protesting with their National Guard. This is exactly what the Republicans want to do. And they're using the same tactics. We're going to send in the National Guard. We're going to arrest these people for protesting. And then you even got down in University of Texas, they arrested people. They arrested a member of the press. And what did they arrest them for? They arrested them for trespassing. Trespassing. Now, the interesting thing is the GOP, the cowards over there, a guy who's in the state legislature named Brandon, who is a congressman there, calls it a violent protest. These are violent protesters. Really? And then you look up, oh, wow, if they're so violent, they probably should have been charged with some kind of violent crime. Look it up. They're charged with trespassing. No, there was no violence. This is just Brandon being a coward down there in Texas, you see. These are violent protests, and they pick them up everywhere, because this is what they do. They wordsmith, they wordplay, they want to make these protests to look violent. They're so violent, and they're not. That's not what they're being arrested for. They're not being arrested for being violent. They're being arrested for trespassing, which is the same thing they did in the 60s. They arrested them for trespassing. They shot them up with the National Guard. They called them a bunch of communists for being against the Vietnam War. It's exactly the tactics they're using today on college campuses against these people. Now, hey, look, some of these people, legitimate concern for the Palestinian people. But when you have other people that show up that says, you know, I support Hamas, those people are fools. So those people make you look bad. And hey, who knows, who's to say they aren't plants from the GOP to make them look bad? Hey, look, we can get some people in here, plant them, make them hold signs that say we are for Hamas, but I don't think that's really what's going on. I really think we just have a naive young adult who thinks they're being clever or really sticking it to somebody by saying, I support Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. You don't support Hamas, you support the Palestinian people. See, that's different. You know, and even after all is said and done, Israel's going to be a little bigger. We're going to get rid of Palestine. But see, and there's the thing, Palestinian people are still going to be there. So the Israelis have to come together with that if they're going to take over the Gaza Strip. And I get it. That's why we're like, okay, how are they dealing with it? Well, they're killing tens of thousands of them. Women and children, mostly. And it makes sense because you kill off the women, then they can't procreate. Kill off the kids now, then later on they'll kill off a whole generation. And guess what? Well, they are not likely to procreate either. And this is their plan, believe me. I don't know that we can call it technically genocide, but when you're going after and killing a 5-year-old girl because she might be a terrorist, then I'm going to question your motives on why you want all these people dead. Is it because, hey, you know what? We can take this beachfront property if the owners aren't alive anymore? Or we got rid of them, or we arrested them, or whatever else. So that's what we have. And these things on the campuses, the college campuses, and it's the same tactics they use. The right's going after the donors. Hey, don't give them any money. Just put pressure on these college presidents to do something and everything else by telling them we'll hold up their funding. We'll have them investigated. We'll call them communist. We'll say the protests are violent when they aren't. These are all the same tricks. These are all the same tactics that they used in the late 60s and early 70s. Conservatives then using the same tactics now against the protesters who are peacefully protesting, using nothing more than their First Amendment rights to discuss their displeasure with what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people. Now, yeah, I'm not going to defend them much, especially if some of these jerkweeds are going to say, I'm for Hamas. I'm not. And I don't think anybody should be placating to Hamas, a terrorist organization. Then that's pretty much what we got going on this week. Internationally, nationally, going around the Gaza Strip, the Israelis, Hamas, Palestinians caught in the middle. Well, this is Across the Desk. We'll see you next week.